For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh, and today we are talking about the horror movie Thinestra. Thinestra tells the story of a graphic designer who turns to an experimental drug in order to lose weight and instead ends up battling her own demons. I'm going to throw this out here right before I even start talking about this movie. This movie is triggering to some viewers that may have in the past battled with a multitude of eating disorders, and as someone that has struggled off and on over the years with body dysmorphia myself, I found this movie extremely hard to watch in certain parts because of how graphic some of the film actually got. We here at Victims and Villains value mental health, and so if you are someone that may not necessarily do well when it comes to films with graphic imagery or have ever struggled with eating disorders, I would put a skip notice on this one. Now, with that being said, I think this movie definitely embodies an honest depiction of what it is like to go through life with body dysmorphia and really hate the skin that you're in. I think this is one of the most creative and visually haunting and even somewhat disturbing ways that I've ever seen subjects like body dysmorphia or eating disorders ever actually be explored in the film medium. And yet this is a movie that just kind of feels okay. This movie clocks in at just under 90 minutes, and the first act of this movie has this nice, slow, and steady pace. You really get invested into the character of Penelope, and it's kind of, once the drug gets introduced, the next two acts seem like they only exist for the violence. It really kind of seems like the story becomes horror-driven rather than character-driven the way that it is in the first act, and that, to me, was really disappointing. Also, this isn't a comment necessarily on the quality of the film, but it feels like a weird choice to set this movie at Christmas time and release it in spring. Like, this movie, there's no doubt about it, this movie is a Christmas movie. It is woven so heavily throughout the course of this movie, from almost its opening frames up until its haunting and chilling ending. This movie ultimately just kind of left me wanting more. Like, this film just kind of feels like it's empty on calories, much like the subject matter of the film. Even with some of the pacing and my issues, narratively speaking, with these last two acts, I really do love the gags here. I feel like, as a fan of horror and gore, I love kind of seeing how creative they could really get with some of these gags and some of the fight choreography, especially in the climax of this movie. All were top tier and were really well done. Michelle Macedo, our lead protagonist here, I think does an incredible job. I think the duality of the role of Penelope really does allow her to kind of feel like a showcase of her talent, and I'm really hoping that she will pop up in other genre films as well. She does an exceptional job here. This one is a little bit of a shorter review, much like this film, clocking in at just a little under 85 minutes, but I'm ready to run Thinestra through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give Thinestra a 3 out of 5. Overall, this just kind of felt like a bit of a missed opportunity. I love how this film addresses body dysmorphia and eating disorders. It's probably one of the best ways I've ever seen a genre picture approach these types of subjects. For one, Michelle Macedo is incredible here. I love the duality and the range that she demonstrates here. My biggest issue when it came to this movie is the pacing of this movie, and ultimately the character development that feels abandoned by the halfway point of this movie. Such an interesting premise that really just kind of ultimately ends up feeling like empty calories rather than substance. Thinestra is now available to stream VOD. We have links in the show notes below, thanks to our friends over at Just Watch. Make sure that you guys check it out and click and watch it. We'll be back next week dissecting this movie once again, talking about how it addresses the already teased areas like body dysmorphia as well as eating disorders as well, and how this film really kind of uses it to address the mental health aspects of it. And if you're wondering, why is this guy talking about mental health when he's reviewing an independent horror movie? It's because Victims and Villains is a multimedia nonprofit. We create content like what you're watching right now, really to address and engage, provide mental health resources, and answer the question, what does pop culture ultimately teach us about mental health? So if you or someone you know is struggling with suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, please click the links in our show notes below to check out our mental health resource library. Additionally, in the show notes below, you guys will find links to our social media, more podcasts, and movie reviews like what you're watching right now, and the subscribe button. So until next time, remember to keep it classy and keep it spooky.